Baby. And we gotta keep it hype.
Keep it hype.
Represent it for life. You know how we do it. Woo! Hey! Jacksonville Jags. We don't mean to brag, but when we on the field, we got it in the bag. Jacksonville Jags. You know how we ball. Best believe it. Got the people screaming out, Duval. Jacksonville Jags. We don't mean to brag, but when we on the field, we got it in the bag. Jacksonville Jags. You know how we ball. Best believe it. Got the people screaming out, Duval. Okay, Jacksonville Jaguars. Too much for your crew to handle.
This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
And what is going on, everybody? Welcome into Club Jaguar. And if you guys are watching this, it's a very sad episode. Look at this, guys. That's what we are right now. 0-4. Man, this was, when I started up Club Jaguar, I was thinking at this point, this is when we'll be winning and all the bandwagons will come in and we'll blow up, okay? The show is going to take off. But now, if you guys are watching this, you guys are the real ones out there, okay? You guys, there's no bandwagons in this chat right now. And while, bandwagons may be great for, the viewership, may be great for, great for the show, at the end of the day, we're talking to some real Jaguar fans. And we all know that everybody in this chat is experiencing the pain of what this season is bringing along. But before I bring in Jason, guys, I want to let you guys know that this stream is powered by BetUS. Guys, you can get a 150% deposit bonus by going to betus.com and typing in YouTube 150. So 150% deposit bonus on your first deposit and 125% on your second and third. And as always, guys, please gamble responsibly. There are resources out there for you if you guys are struggling. I do want to kind of put that out there, but without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in the man, the myth, the legend. We got Jason from Jaguars United. What's going on, Jason?
I'm a little confused about some words you just said.
What did I say?
Gamble responsibly? I'm not sure I've ever heard those words in the same sentence before.
I mean, I think we've been putting out some good bets on this. I know for me, the cool thing about me is that, I've been doing halftime bets, and I've been pretty much hitting them every time. So because the Jaguar spread has been so long, but yeah, it's we all know you got to do it responsibly. But yeah, what's going on, Jason?
Not much. So this is 2 weeks in a row that Jordan's not here. Does that mean can we now call Jordan a bandwagon fan because now he hasn't been here 2 weeks in a row? Can we safely call him that?
I don't know, because the thing is, it's not only is Jordan not here, but he's as far away from Florida as I think you could possibly get. I mean, he's not even out. He's in the United States, but he's not even in the continental United States. Okay, he had to jump countries and go over to Alaska. So he's out there following him on Twitter. He put out a few pictures today of Alaska. I'm like, is that Fleming Island? It's beautiful. It's beautiful this time of year, right?
I did say in our group chat that I was going to make fun of Jordan and he wouldn't be able to defend himself. So I'm living up to my words here.
Yeah, man, we're pounding on him. So if you guys have anything mean to say about Jordan, leave it in the comments. We may or may not read them, but I'm just joking. Yeah, Jordan will be back next week, and we'll get all of his wonderful, amazing insight. And then we usually like this to be a 3-person show, but I'll be honest, I didn't feel like reaching out to anybody because, I mean, it's just going to be a bunch of ranting, and it's not really a very fun time right now. Like, everybody's mad at each other. That's what happens this time of year. I mean, Twitter, you put out any kind of a tweet, and then you're gonna get no matter what good or bad you say. Oh, I'm excited about the throwback jerseys. Oh, well, I don't care if they wear pink. Oh, I thought Bigsby had a pretty good game. Oh, but ETN's, but everybody is mad about everything right now.
Yep.
So it's
That's
just
true.
it's not a very positive time to be around. So yeah, the Jaguars played the Texans. I think the final score was 24-20, I think. I don't know, something like that.
24-20. Yep.
Yeah, lost by and shout out to the Jaguars covered. And there was a big controversy at the end of the game. A bunch of people don't know about this if you're not
I
in
was
the gambling world.
freaking out, dude. I was freaking out. I almost broke something because I thought they got the safety.
Yeah, so the very end, Travis Etienne, it was very, very close to a safety. And if it was a safety, that would have really, really caused a lot of bet slips to change because, of course, the spread was 4.5 and 5.5 on different sites, but somewhere around there. So the safety, that was a difference, okay? But it wasn't a safety. It wasn't. Forward progress, I guess. I guess forward progress.
I don't know, man. Look close to me.
Honestly, I didn't watch the replay. I didn't really care to. I don't really know how forward progress works, but I think forward progress was in his favor there. But
if you can't advance a fumble for a touchdown, then you shouldn't be able to get a safety on that play. How about that? That sounds fair.
That's true.
Because Daniel Thomas should have gotten the touchdown on that punt.
Yeah, I still don't really understand because like I think everybody in NFL, nobody really understands it because every time there's a muff punt, they run it back into the end zone.
Exactly. I don't know what was happening.
Yeah, but so Jaguars cover the spread, but most important thing is the final score, and the Jaguars lost. So we're now the only winless team in the NFL right now. Shout out to the Titans beating the Dolphins on Monday Night Football. Man, it would have been not. We were talking about how we played the Dolphins at the worst time of the year. Man, all we had to do was wait till week 2 or week 3, and it would have been better. But yeah, they the Dolphins are a broken team right now. They're frustrated too. But I don't know. We're all in this really, really weird set right now because the odds after going 0-2 is very, very slim to make the playoffs. When you go 0-3, it's even slimmer. The Jaguars are 0-4 right now, so we're in a very, very difficult spot in any kind of playoff race because the Jaguars aren't out of it. Obviously mathematically, the Jaguars could go 13-4. They can. That's a fact, but at the same time, ideally, realistically, if you're going to make the playoffs, you probably had to go 10-7, which means the Jaguars have to go 10-3 down the stretch. And this is a team that is finding ways to lose games, like we're a rookie quarterback and a rookie coach. We are not there's rumors coming out that we've lost the locker room. There's just not a whole lot of positivity going on with the Jaguars right now. And, right now we're 3 games back at the AFC South. And that was the real difference is man, if the Jaguars found a way to win that one, then we're 1-3. We'd be 1 game back at the AFC South because the Colts and the Texans would be 2-2. The Jaguars would have been 1-0 in the AFC South. So you're in a pretty good spot because the best way to get into the playoffs is through your division and you start off pretty good. But yeah, the Jaguars fall. We're 0-4. It's very, very slim shots of getting in. So I guess, Jason, going forward, what's kind of your mindset on this season?
All right. You ready for this?
All right. Pause. All
right, listen. Hear me out here. Hear me out. It's not like we got blown out in every game. We got blown out in the Bills game. That was unlucky. The other 3, you can make an argument we should have won. Okay? We should have won those games. Literally, if we had any remnants of a 4-minute offense on that last drive of our game, then we could have held the ball and won the game against the Texans. We should have beat the Dolphins, and we really had a chance in the Browns game. We didn't play well. The year 2022, we started 2-6. All right, so I know we kind of talked about it before the show started. 9-8 maybe doesn't get you in the playoffs of this year, but it could win you the division if the trajectory of these AFC South teams keeps going the way they're going. We're not out yet, okay? The more concerning part for me is that Trevor Lawrence had his worst game of the year last week. I know he had the 2 egregious throws where he missed wide open receivers that could have been touchdowns, but on my show last night, we had 6 clips of throws that were probably egregious throws that people aren't talking about, whether it was throwing to double coverage on Brian Thomas Jr. where he hurt his arm, whether it was just missing throws. He had 6 really, really bad throws, and that's about 3 to 4 too many for a game. You see missed throws all the time with any quarterback. That's what really hurt me to see that many. Wasn't a great game for him. I thought the offensive line did okay. By no means are we out of it. We talked about on this show before the season started. We have a hard stretch of games coming up against NFC North teams, but those first 4 games were probably it's up there with the hardest 4-game stretch. And we kind of thought they'd go 2-2. We had hoping they'd win 2 of them. They blew 2 games. All right. So by no means are they out. Right. By no means. I know the probability is low, but by no means are they out at this point. If we want to talk probability, let's look at last year when before we went how many games did we lose in a row? Like we lost like 8 out of 9 or whatever it was.
6 or something. I think we lost.
Yeah. What was the
like 5 out
probability
of
of us
6 or
making the
something.
playoffs at that point? It was like really high in the 90 percentile. Now we're in the opposite. So we're coming off a season where this team shows that probability doesn't equal playoffs. So maybe we keep that same mindset and say probability doesn't equal playoffs again. We can bounce back against the Colts at home. Tom Coughlin's going into the ring, throwback jerseys. Could be a get-right game. Then we go to London where we're good. Now we potentially could be 3-4. And if this team's 3-4, I think the attitude of this whole fan base is a lot different than 0-4, obviously. So let's just hang in there with this team. And I said this the other day, at least we know this team's here for 30 years. Like, at the end of the day, we're not over here having to hear about London talks. We're not over here having to learn about who our quarterback is. Whether you like him or not, he's our quarterback going forward. So instead of harping on the negative, which we want to do as fans, let's look at the things we can build off of with or without the GM and the head coach, with or without them. We have some pieces that we can build off of. I don't think this is a team that we have to completely blow up. People are talking about trades and trade deadlines and moving people. I don't think you move anybody that's not on a egregious contract or coming up on the end of their contract. I don't think you move any of the good young guys on this team. I don't think they will. So I know things are bad because we're 0-4, but I think if we use a little perspective, things aren't as bad as they feel just because of the pieces that we have, the position that we're in. And I don't think it's as bad as we all think.
Yeah, and I really don't think the Jaguars, like, long term, it's as bad as it feels right now. My main concern right now is that, like, I've been out on Trent Baalke since the moment everyone put on their clown outfits against the Colts way back in the day, at home, by the way. So shout out to that. And also I'm kind of out on Doug Pederson right now. I don't like the way that players are regressing offensively. I don't like the way our quarterback is regressing. I really, really hate this situational coaching. So that's why I say I don't feel that bad about the long term, because, like, there are players on this team that could help change things around, and that, I think we have a good enough nucleus right now that we'll be able to win games. It'll just take some coaching to kind of put us over the top. But I'm concerned about the short term because, right now I'm almost in the situation of, like, the Jaguars win some game. Like, for example, if the Jaguars go 8-9 this year, that would mean that you finish the year like 8-4. You know what I mean? Like, that's their stretch over the last 12 games. It's like pretty positive stuff, but I don't know what Shad Khan's mindset is right now. Where like, will he? If the Jaguars completely miss the playoffs, is everybody gone? That's what I'm just hoping, because right now, and we've even brought up the point of, like, at what point do you want the Jaguars to start losing for draft capital? And I'm sitting here like, it's not even about the draft capital for me. It's more so about, it almost feels like this team needs to bottom out in order for, Shad Khan to get rid of everybody. And, I've always been a person that, like, really in my life, I've always been someone that if I know that something isn't working, I'm not going to keep trying and trying and trying to see if it will work. I'm someone that cuts it off immediately. I mean, that's been me with, like, everything, especially like relationships. Like, if I sense it's not going to go right, I can feel it pretty early and I just end it before it gets going on too long. And that's one reason why, like, having Urban Meyer is almost a good thing, because he was so bad where you immediately recognize it and you get rid of him. But if you have a guy like Doug Pederson, where he's not terrible, but he's also not great, and he's right in the middle, and then you're finishing off with like 9-8 seasons, maybe we finish off the year 7-10. Like, for me, like, honestly, like, in totality, and obviously this would be really, really tough to go through on a game-by-game basis, but at the end of the year, if we fast forward to January, a week after the season ends, I would rather this team go 3-14 than 8-9. You know what I mean? Because at that point, you clean house. And then when we clean house, I would like to be able to bring in a GM and say, hey, we have Trevor Lawrence. Do you believe in him? If not, then they probably won't come over. But, you bring in a guy that believes in him, and you say, hey, I have a top 3 draft pick. I have, even more draft capital. I have, a top pick in the second round, top pick in the third round. I have an extra pick from, the Minnesota Vikings in the third round too. I have some stuff to work with. There is some like talent over here. You bring in a guy that, really feels like he can change around this roster, and, he brings in a head coach as well. Then you kind of restart things, over from the start. And I'm also a person that and I made this point, I've said that, this could be a destination place. I really do think that, if there's nobody in the, there's no coaching staff yet in place, there's no, GM, and you're hiring the GM and he's going to hire the head coach, this is an extremely, extremely attractive spot for a GM. Of course, the Jaguars have that loser organization. I mean, they have that, and that's what you're going to be kind of want to bring around. But you're going to report to Shad Khan, who is going to give you all the resources that you need, and he's not going to interfere either. So you're going to have so much free reign over this team. You're going to be able to hire the head coach. You're going to have a bunch of resources at your, position. So, for me, of course, I'll be cheering for the Jaguars win Sunday. I'll be keep cheering for the Jaguars to win overall. I just really, really hope that if the Jaguars do miss the playoffs, even if the Jaguars go 9-8, I would like there to be a shakeup because, what is Doug Pederson? He's not great. He's not terrible, but I know my standard is that I want to be playing meaningful games in December and January, and it's just been really weird with him. He's been extremely streaky. He started off 2022 with all these losses, then he wound up winning a bunch of games and started off the year in 2023 winning a bunch of games, and then we went on the collapse. And the unfortunate thing about Doug Pederson is that he's an offensive guy, and the offense was really only clicking at the end of the 2022 season. Even when we were 8-3, the offense wasn't very good, and none of us were used to winning. So we were like, hey, maybe this is what winning is like. Not every game's perfect, but we find a way to win, but now we're kind of finding ways to lose. So I don't know. It's long-term, I think it's okay. But yeah, short-term, I do get a little bit worried about that.
I just still for me, the blame goes to Trent Baalke even more than Doug Pederson. And the only thing that's giving me reservation about Doug Pederson is because there's bad play calls here and there. The thing that's worrying me about Doug Pederson is Trevor Lawrence's regression. And I wonder how much of that is because he's visibly spooked behind this offensive line. He is seeing ghosts out there. And we see time and time again quarterbacks that have been ruined by being thrown into the fire early behind bad offensive lines. Then they get a change of scenery and they end up playing well. I really Doug Pederson could be better, but I was on Doug Pederson pretty bad. And then when he kind of popped off last week, I was like, let me take a look here. And let me take a look at how many of these plays are actually on the head coach. And you start taking a look at the drop balls and the missed throws and the fumbles going into the end zone and the penalties. And I start to kind of be all right, is it an X's and O's thing or is it a Jimmy's and Joe's thing? And I'm kind of on it's a Jimmy's and Joe's thing, and that falls on Trent Baalke. I don't care what anybody says. There's an obvious rift between Pederson and Baalke. There is. You can't watch this team as much as we do, see the needs that we have, and then draft the players that Baalke does. It makes no sense. It's not helping the team. It's you can't tell me as Doug Pederson as a head coach, you want to see these picks being done. Brian Thomas Jr., I thought was a great pick. But was Gabe Davis and Devin Duvernay enough to supplement that? Because we didn't know Brian Thomas Jr. was going to be this good. If Brian Thomas Jr. was a typical rookie wide receiver, this receiving core would be one of the most pedestrian receiving cores in the league. And that would not be on Doug Pederson. That'd be on Trent Baalke because Gabe Davis looks like he's running in quicksand. Christian Kirk is finally kind of getting to his own. We don't see Parker Washington at all, except for on run plays. So I don't really know how to assign blame to Doug Pederson, except for the regression of Trevor Lawrence, which I still wonder if that's an effect of the offensive line. And I just I could see Doug Pederson moving on to another team and being good. And I really could. And it's just I think Trent Baalke, I'm with you 100%. When the clown stuff started coming out, even before that, I didn't like Trent Baalke. And then people had this shift during the win streak, that Baalke masterclass. even through all that, I was like, I don't know, man, because we saw the entire draft class of Anton Harrison, Brenton Strange, Tank Bigsby, all those guys, like, they didn't really do much, and you start looking at like Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma, and it's like those guys aren't helping us the way early draft picks should help us. Anton Harrison, Brian Thomas Jr., I'll give you those two. But beyond that, we're not getting much. We're getting some out of Tank now. And kind of my big point about the Jimmys and Joes thing is that, like, I'm starting to like hate analytics. And I was an analytics guy for a long time. But like when you look at like Tank Bigsby's yards per carry, and you take a look at like these other analytics that like win rates with the offensive line, like, oh, maybe they're not that bad. But the problem isn't throughout the game. It's like when we need them to step up. It's like that 4-minute drive where we went 3 and out at the end of the game where we needed to hold the ball. It's at the goal line, getting into the end zone. It's like when we need them to step up and be clutch, this roster cannot do it. And you can throw all the analytics at me all you want. You can throw me throughout the course of the game. They graded out well. Even Josh Allen. He's getting pressures. Oh, he's getting pressures, but if he's getting his hands around C.J. Stroud and C.J. Stroud's escaping the pocket, yeah, that's a pressure. But then C.J. Stroud throws it over the middle of the field to Nico Collins for 20 yards. That doesn't help me. So, like, it's these players aren't stepping up in clutch moments to make plays to win the game. And it's hard for me to assign blame to Doug Pederson for that, I guess. And can a change of coach and a change of scenery, can that help? Yes. I'm not saying keep Doug Pederson. I just wonder if we're assigning too much blame to him is my only question.
No, yeah, I feel you. And I've always been someone that really thinks it's top down. I mean, no matter who comes in at GM, they're going to have to overcome the stink of the Jaguars organization. But, we've seen teams do it. You look over at the Lions and, the Lions aren't this attractive place of winning, but all of a sudden they get the right GM in there. They get, Dan Campbell was kind of laughed at as a head coach hire. I mean, not a lot of people, they were like, oh, I need kneecaps. Like, what is this? Like, that is this another Detroit Lions head coach? And then, they bring in Jared Goff and it's like, oh, this guy's not very good, a bridge guy. They'll, once he sucks, they'll draft somebody. But, you look at it like the marriage between Trent Baalke and Doug Pederson isn't working. And it feels like the marriage between Doug Pederson and Trevor Lawrence isn't working. And then, also you look over that, like, Trent Baalke or Doug Pederson going up, no matter what's going on the field, you don't go up to the media and say like the players have to execute. I mean, you got to put it on yourself, man. Like you can tell players between closed doors, like, yo, execute, but you don't say in front of the media, just kind of bash everybody. It's just, it's not a good situation. And
but I mean, he's tried that. I mean, this entire losing streak, Peterson's been saying that. And so do you think there's a chance that by him stepping out and putting it on the players in public, maybe lights a fire under their ass to play better? Do you think maybe that was his strategy?
But I also think he doesn't put anything, like, for example, I think the main reason why people are annoyed is that he doesn't ever want to put any blame on Press Taylor. Like he protects Press Taylor in a way I've never seen I've never seen anybody protect a guy like that. I mean, it's like he's protecting him like he's his son. Like he'll go out there and cut his son from tight end, but he's not going to do anything. It's not going to do anything to get. I mean, Press Taylor is going to cost him 2 head coaching jobs and probably make it to where, I mean, he'll never be a head coach. If he gets fired from Jacksonville, he'll never be a head coach again. Unless you have like the Texans had with David Coley, where you're the most unattractive job ever and you just want to bring in a guy for a year or two.
I mean, Brian Flores, people probably said the same thing about him, but now he's making a case, I mean, with the Vikings that he might be another head. I mean, your point.
Yeah, but he was only head coach once, though. Like,
was it just the Dolphins? I thought.
Yeah, it was just the Dolphins. Okay. He wasn't a 2-timer. Yeah. I don't know many coaches have gotten 3 times after being fired.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you're spot on, and what I was saying is like you see it in the NBA. I know it's not the same, but like NBA, every few years they're like, we just need to shake it up, right? And they just fire the coach, bring in a new coach, same players, and you see a turnaround. And it doesn't happen as much in the NFL, but like this could be a situation where like you do need to bring in someone else and just get a fresh perspective, a fresh playbook. I mean, the it is top down. I mean, we look at play calling and development of the quarterback, but the head coach and the GM, I mean, they determine things like practice schedule, nutrition regimens, strength and conditioning coach, which I think was a big problem here for a long time. I mean, how many hamstring injuries are you going to have before you change what you're doing in the training room, right? So it's like it is a top down thing, and yeah, I mean, I wanted Balky gone for a while, but I'm at least willing to give them through London for me to be like sold, written in stone, got a clean house.
Yeah. And I'm not even somebody that wants to fire Doug Pederson tomorrow. You know, I mean, it would be nice to get Trent Baalke out of there, just get him out of there, because like at this point he's not doing anything. You know, if someone gets hurt or put on the IR, you're going to grab somebody from someone's practice squad or whatever. You elevate your guy and find some, you know, I mean, it's not like he's doing much, and he's out there on the practice field. It's a little bit weird. I mean, I would like to get that out of the building so somebody is kind of being held accountable, especially, I mean, if you just look right now at what Aiden Hutchinson is doing, that should be a fireable offense right now.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we were all told year 3 is when we're going to see Trayvon Walker become a better player than Aiden Hutchinson. And boy, Aiden Hutchinson is a beast right now. I mean, he is up there, like, you know, like when it comes to like analytics and pressure rate and sack, like all these different crazy numbers you guys see, and what the crazy XY axis is, he's on the very top of like everything that you see. And Trayvon Walker is not, you know, Trayvon Walker. And I'm tired of, and that's the thing about Baalke. It's like, you know, you talk about how, you know, Baalke masterclass. And a lot of times we talk ourselves into different things because we don't want Baalke to be bad. I mean, we're not sitting here like saying, oh, I hope he drafts this guy. And like, we want his draft classes to be good. So, you know, eventually we talk ourselves into it, but usually after his drafts, I'm just like, huh? Like, yeah. I remember after 2022, like, and I'm not someone that goes out there and studies these guys hard. Like, usually I have pretty passionate and like pretty bold takes on like who I want the Jaguars to draft in the first round. But then after that, I'm like, okay, let these guys do the work. Because I'm not looking at top 60, top 90 players and stuff like that. But it's like, you know, you trade up, you know, you get Trayvon Walker, then you trade up for, you know, an inside linebacker. It's like, okay, like we just signed Foye Oluokun to a lot of money. In the third round, you draft another linebacker, in Chad Muma. So it's like, okay, this guy is literally projected to be a special teamer or a Sam linebacker getting 20% of snaps in a game. Okay. And then, you know, you draft the blocking tight end in the second round, you draft the running back in the third round. And, you know, we all love Tank Bigsby right now, but it's still a weird pick. And the whole, like, just the whole like traits and everything. Like, I'm tired of drafting players that have insane measurables and could be great instead of drafting players that already are great. You know what I mean? Like, don't think too hard about this stuff. Like, stop drafting Mason Smith and being like, oh, well, we looked at Chris Jones coming out of college and they were the same exact weight, size, their arm length were the same thing. Like they squatted the same thing. They, you know, they both were raised in Louisiana. And like this is stupid stuff. It's like, I'm tired of that. Like, start drafting players that have production, not players that are like, oh man, this guy, like, I don't mind in the 7th round if you draft Miles Cole because the guy is a freak. That's fine. It's 7th round. But
right.
You know, when you draft these guys, I'm tired of getting these guys that, like, man, they're going to need a lot of work, and they're going to need to work on a lot of technique because, like, if they don't already have the technique, that's something that players have or they don't have a lot of times. Right. It's really, really hard, you know, especially in a short lifespan. Like, you know, you want immediate impact, especially as your players in the first 2 days of the draft. Like, I'm not going to sit here and wait for year 3 and year 4 when a guy's about to be a free agent to develop. I don't know. His drafting has just been questionable in that sense.
And even looking at the guys that he like hit on late, like Monteric Brown, I think he's a great player. We got late, but he took Gregory Jr. around before him out of Ouachita Baptist, where when I went to find film on him, it was like a parent's hand cam that I had to watch to get film on Greg Jr. And you drafted him around before Monteric Brown. Yeah. You look at Tank Bigsby. Okay, you drafted Tank Bigsby, but you also just drafted Keelan Robinson, who hasn't seen the field. So it's like Anton Harrison. You drafted Anton Harrison with both Cam Robinson and Walker Little on your roster. So it's like even the ones he's hitting on, like you drafted Brian Thomas Jr. When you had Calvin Ridley, you could have franchise tagged, but you dropped the ball on Josh Allen's contract. So it's like even the picks he's hitting on, he's messing up somehow. So I just can't get past. I've never liked Balky from day one. I assign 90% of the blame to Balky and then 10% of the blame to Doug Pederson. And the draft classes are just terrible. You look through them, they're awful. You can't build a roster on free agency, which whatever, he's probably 50% on free agency, but like you just can't do it that way. And you can tell Doug, the big thing for me is I can tell Doug Pederson is not happy with the guys he's bringing in. And I don't know if they have conversations or if they even talk about it, but you can tell Doug Pederson is not on the same page. You can't tell me that Doug Pederson would have wanted Mason Smith in the second round. That there's no way you could tell me when you went out and signed Arik Armstead, you re-signed Josh Allen, you drafted Travon Walker, you signed Devon Hamilton. And in what world do you need to go get a D tackle in the second round? And I like Mason Smith, but that just makes no sense. When you have so many other needs. It just, I don't know. To me, it's Balky to me. And I'm not one of these people that has moved off of that. I haven't flip flopped between Balky Masterclass and I haven't. I've never been happy with him. And it's unfortunate that Khan has let him stick around for so long. But I think this could be the year that he finally nails his own coffin because just things are not working.
Yeah. And I couldn't agree with you more. And like he's been just, and you look at the history. I mean, he just never has good relationships with head coaches. I mean, even he's a guy that they kept Trent Baalke around instead of Jim Harbaugh. You know what I mean? Like back in San Francisco, and it's not a good situation. He's not a good GM, and you even look at like we talk about Mason Smith. Like who was available? I'm pretty sure he was available, but Cooper Beebe is a guy that I really liked. I mean, I was taking him in the second round a lot of my mock drafts, and it's like, and I don't know anything, and he's out there doing really good stuff for the Dallas Cowboys. It's like, dude, like this drafting stuff isn't that hard, but you can't sit here and act like you're the smartest guy in the room. And that's what I think he does. I think he just tries way too hard to be like, oh, like, I'm gonna make this pick and watch this. And, and also we got to also realize that, the Jaguars haven't been the best, whether it's under Doug Pederson or whoever at actually developing talent. I mean, look at Quincy Williams right now. I mean, Baalke loves to draft these linebackers, but you had a linebacker with Trent Baalke. I mean, Urban Meyer and the crew cut him, but, he's out there a top 3 linebacker for the Jets. Josh Oliver is out there catching touchdown passes now. Like he's turned himself into a pretty good player. Jawan Taylor has turned himself. I mean, obviously Jawan Taylor got paid his last year, but we definitely have like a player development issue, and that's why like we need to shake things up. And I know we have a super chat in here. Tekken asked, "What do you guys think about Ben Johnson?" And that's what I was kind of talking to Jason about in my just before the stream. I was like, man, I would love to just do something like find somebody from the Detroit Lions organization because they are so. Like they were in the same situation as us, man. They were not a good franchise, hadn't done anything in forever, like hadn't made the playoffs, I don't think, since like before I was born. They were a cursed franchise. Actually, they made the playoffs, they just haven't won playoff games. They were just a cursed franchise. And then all of a sudden, something happens. They hire the right GM who, speaking of, if you guys want to look at good draft classes, look at what their GM has been doing. Look at the draft classes that he's been having. Find somebody from over there, have him bring over Ben Johnson, and you know who Trevor Lawrence quarterback wise is very, very similar to Jared Goff, and Jared Goff is out here there. He's catching touchdown passes from Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have an offense that actually does motions. They have great situational football, and I know Jason was talking earlier about how the coaching staff has set up these players, and I thought for the most part it did call a good game, but the situational football I think is really, really bad with when you call certain plays, and especially in the red zone, it's been really bad, and it just needs fresh eyes on this team, fresh eyes on this roster that doesn't have any kind of pre-biases, that doesn't care if like, okay, maybe Arik Armstead isn't worth all this money, and maybe they, hypothetically speaking, they cut him next year. You don't think that Trent Baalke is going to do it because he wants his ego to be in front. So we need we need change. And obviously it sucks that, dude, we're talking about this before we play our 5th game of the season, but it's at the front of people's minds. And I know it's at the front of my mind because I'm in a situation where I really want the Jags to win on Sunday because a lot of things going on. I mean, I want to protect the streak. Haven't lost to the Colts since 2014. It's a division opponent. I want to keep winning, but at this point, I'm almost not mad at losses because I know at the end of the year, Shad Khan here is pissed. He put the playoff mandate out there. He wants to win. I mean, for people that don't think Shad Khan cares, I believe he cares. I don't think he's going to spend all this money on stuff, personal money. I mean, he's investing like half of the stadium is being built out of his pocket. I mean, and he's paying all these players. Like, he cares. He's just not good at hiring people. That's just the fact of the matter. So, yeah, that's
anyone who blames Shad Khan just is looking for people to blame. I mean,
yeah.
You can't. I mean, I say this all the time, and it's because it's so true. It's that billionaires are not the same as us. They're not. They are like, when you look at how much a billionaire makes, it is exponentially more than a millionaire. Like, I'm telling you, look at any billionaire. They're not normal people. Like, they're not normal people. And it's like not a slight at them. It's just like we're trying to use our rationale for like how we would do things and with our eyeballs. But billionaires are nowhere near our minds, for better and for worse. And you can see it all over the world. So Shad Khan's not out here like, I mean, maybe a guy like Jerry Jones is the one exception to the guy who gets involved. But you look at these other guys, like, they don't want to get involved. Like, Shad Khan's bumper business makes way more money than the Jaguars, right? So, like, he's not, like, worried about, like, he's not a guy who's going to step in and, like, he's going to try to hire good people under him to run the organization. He did it with Tom Coughlin. He did it with Urban Meyer. He did it with Trent Baalke. And he's trying to bring in people that can run the organization for him. His biggest fault is he does hold on to people a little too long, except for the case in Urban Meyer. But you can't assign any blame to Shad Khan. And, I mean, he's invested so much into Jacksonville, and you don't think he wants to win? Like, he wants to win more than any of us. Like, his money's on the line. We're just fans, which I'm not undercutting fans. I'm just saying, like, it's different when your financial investment's on the line for wins and losses versus an emotional investment. So Shad Khan's not the problem. He needs to just bring in some people underneath him that are a little bit smarter, a little bit wiser. To Ben Johnson, I think Ben Johnson and someone from the Lions would be a huge upgrade to who we have. The only thing we got to think about is a lot of times offensive coordinators do come in to systems, to system coaches, and are able to do their own thing under a good system. Like, I would not be surprised if Ben Johnson was a head coach somewhere and wasn't as successful, because when you step into the Dan Campbell system and culture, it's easy to do what you want. It's easy to kind of like, it's just different. And so I'm personally a guy that likes to bring in a head, like, if it were me, I'd bring in a head coach that doesn't call plays on offense or defense and just manages the game, manages the challenges, the timeouts, the clock, things like that. And then bring in an offensive coordinator and bring in a defensive coordinator, give them autonomy to do what they do best and let them just focus on what they're doing. Obviously, you can point to examples where coaches call the plays and it's successful, right? Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota, right? Like, it works, right? But it just, for me, I just want a guy who's going to manage the game, get you an offensive coordinator that can manage his players. To me, that's what I want. And I'm not saying Ben Johnson can't do it, but I just kind of like the idea of the OC and the DC being independent of the head coach. And just kind of, for me, that's just what I've seen over years and years of football has the most success. But anything, I think, would be better than this current situation right now.
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned him, because I was going to bring him up too. Is like, when I watched the quarterback series last year, I think the guy that I came away with like most impressed about it wasn't even the quarterbacks. It was honestly Kevin O'Connell. I love the way he just called games, and he's so cool. He's so calm. Like, he's asking the quarterback's opinion on things. He seems so in control and just so like relaxed out there, but he also seems very smart. He seems like a great leader. I mean, he's not like, I don't know. I would love to get a guy like with that temperament. And, a guy that kind of does similar stuff to him, because obviously everybody in the world loves wants the offensive guy. And I would love to get an offensive, type of minded head coach. But honestly, the best thing to do is to get like the right guy. And I don't, and obviously the big drawback about that, like the big reason why a bunch of people are turned off by a defensive coach is like, you don't want to get an offensive guy in there. Then once they pop off, they get hired away. But
Right.
you just got to get the right combination, because, you look at it and, Jared Goff, for whatever reason, did not work very well under Sean McVay. And Sean McVay is this really, really good head coach, very good offensive mind. But then all of a sudden he goes to Detroit, and all of a sudden he rejuvenates his career, and he becomes honestly, he's been playing really, really good. I mean, he's been leading them to wins. They haven't been winning in spite of him. I mean, he's been playing really, really good football. So we got to do a deep dive into like what kind of coach Trevor Lawrence needs and what kind of system he's going to be best in. And you got to make it happen, because right now, I know for me, the big debate is like, everyone's talking about, is Trevor Lawrence a bust? Is he not a bust? I mean, look, I'm a guy, I believe in Trevor Lawrence because I've seen him do it. I see what kind of potential he has. I see like all the upside, and I've been through some really, really bad quarterbacks. And also there's another thing tied to him. It's called $275 million. A lot of money is tied up to him, and I believe in the talent. And I truly believe that, if you get the right guy back there, if you bring his confidence back, if you build this offensive line back right, because, he is very skittish right now. And, the first couple games, he was getting nailed every time he dropped back. And then all of a sudden against the Texans, he drops back and he doesn't know what to do when there's pressure in his face. He just wants to run backwards instead of stepping up. So yeah, that's the big thing is, bringing a guy that is going to be a fit for Trevor Lawrence, because once you have the head coach and the quarterback, once you have that dynamic in place, a lot of things can work. But yeah, it starts from the top down. Got to get the GM and head coach to see eye to eye, understand what kind of players the head coach wants, and as well as the coordinators on the team as well. Understand, like what kind of quarterback you have, how you can build a system around him, and as well as a system around the talent that you have. Be innovative. Like the NFL changes all the time. Like you can't be like Gus Bradley and stick to the same defense you've been playing over and over again, because
I hope he does
outdated
this week.
Yeah, this week we hope he does.
I hope he does.
Trust me, Colts fans do not like him. So yeah, you gotta get things right in place. And I just really, really hope that's just the main reason why, like, I want to cheer for the Jaguars win every game. I just get very nervous that if all of a sudden, like I said, if the Jaguars finish 8-9, that means the Jaguars finish off the year 8-5, and then it's like, oh, we finished on a positive note, and it's like, no. And I'm very afraid that Doug Pederson's gone, but somehow Trent Baalke finds himself still the GM. Like that is absolutely, that would be devastating, absolutely devastating if there's somehow Trent Baalke survives and he's the guy hiring the next head coach, because man, I can't imagine that head coach search would go good at all.
Well, I've seen a few people mention it, but I think a bigger factor than people are realizing is how much Evan Ingram not playing is hurting Trevor.
Yeah.
And him not being on the field, because I chalked up to play calling a lot of times, but when you look at these routes from the sideline film, like when you watch the all 22, the sideline is like higher up than the broadcast sideline, so you can see all the route concepts. Nobody is ever open. And I was like, and I know I said this before, and going back to it, I just don't love this receiving core. And I've been on that for a while. It's like, I do not love this receiving core at all. I think Christian Kirk is good at what he does, but we're seeing like Brian Thomas Jr. can do that job and more. And like I said, Gabe Davis is giving you absolutely nothing. And then you're looking at Brenton Strange is basically just like a spot tight end that just releases to the flat. They use like a safety valve, but he's not a guy that can find space, soft spots, and zones. And I think when we saw Trevor at his best, he would make a read, a second read, and then if that's not there, he knew Evan Ingram was open and finding the soft spot. And now he doesn't have that. And it's just really, I think it's just, it could be the fact. And when you look at every elite quarterback, they all have a tight end they trust. And I just think not having Evan Ingram is really hurting Trevor. And Gabe Davis is getting no separation. Brian Thomas Jr., great, but like him and Trevor don't have that yet. Like they haven't been playing together that long. So they're still kind of trying to figure out each other. I mean, there was even like a throw he made to Brian Thomas Jr. where Thomas Jr. was running like on the sideline, and Trevor Lawrence like threw it to like the sideline, and Trevor Lawrence kept running, or Brian Thomas Jr. kept running vertical.
Yeah.
And like it was like he was open, but like they weren't on the same page. And it's like,
do you think he was trying to back shoulder that? Or you think it was a bad throw?
I think I don't know. It's hard to know because when I watched it, I watched it a bunch of times last night, and I couldn't figure out if it was supposed to be a back shoulder. It could have been an out route, and Brian Thomas Jr. could have been like, "I got this guy beat. I'm going." Like, or it could have been Trevor Lawrence missed the throw. Like, there's a lot of variables that we don't know, but I just don't love this receiving core. I think they actually went cheap on receiver. And I know they drafted Brian Thomas Jr. in the first round. And I know they were banking on having Evan Ingram, but going and getting Gabe Davis on a discount and going and getting Devin Duvernay and promoting Parker Washington to whatever he is now, like I just think that wasn't enough for an offense that you need to be good. I mean, if you were to put all our receivers into a bundle and then compare them to other wide receivers, they would be like really, really mid. Like they're just not that. I mean, look at the Texans, dude. Look at their receiving core. And it's like, can you imagine if Trevor Lawrence had Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, and Tank Dell and Dalton Schultz? Like he would be a completely different quarterback. So I think they did him a disservice by not helping him, which is why I've been saying for years, and I hate that I'm a big I told you so guy right now, but this is where we find ourselves at 0-4. This franchise needed to build around Trevor, and instead they went for best player available, balanced team strategy, and that's kicking us in the ass right now.
I mean, did they? That's where I like. Do we even go best player available, or did they just go Trent Baalke's draft crush, measurable wide? You know what I mean? And,
yeah, you're right.
And that's the issue is like we're going free agency on wide receivers, and you don't find great receivers. I mean, you can find if you find a really, really good receiver in free agency, you're probably trading for it and signing him to a deal. And you gotta find like third, fourth round pick wide receivers. You know what I mean? You got to find that sweet spot. Instead, we're drafting offensive and defensive linemen who aren't good enough to be active on game day. You know what I mean? Like, and linebackers, like we drafted linebackers like crazy. And I guess it's working out for us now because Ventrell Miller's out here, making plays. But yeah, it's it's totally true, man. I mean, I feel you on a lot of this stuff. Quick super chats. We got Jim Jag, $2 donation. He says, T-Law's B-Day is on Sunday. Is this the boost he needs? Well, Colts at home usually is a boost for anybody in Jack's uniform. Big Nuck Dog gave us a $5 donation. Didn't say anything, but hey, man, we appreciate it. Super Bad Mojo 32 says, Dougie P is a good coach. Trevor Lawrence is the issue. He's bad on third down, bad in 2-minute drill, turnover prone, and can throw consistently between 8 and 20 yards. QB 16-8. And hey, you guys are all allowed to have your own opinions. I know for me, you probably get tired of me because I'll be sitting here saying I believe in Trevor Lawrence. But if you don't, look, we're all entitled to our own opinions, that's for sure. By the way, guys, I'm here with Jason from Jaguars United. His chat is down in the description box. He goes live on Tuesday and Friday nights with some film breakdown. So definitely check that out. And guys, we have over 200 people watching, but not many likes. You guys, please do us a favor and drop the like so we can get that more out here. And by the way, guys, this stream is powered by BetUS, and we do also have a game. We have a game on Sunday, right? Yeah, we have a game on Sunday.
We do.
We are going to be playing.
I thought we were going to talk about the vice president debate, but I guess we're talking about the Jags tonight. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, we'll get. I don't know. Maybe we'll get into that later. Okay, but but yeah, the Jaguars. We have a game on Sunday. So what we always do is we go to BetUS, and like I said, BetUS is a proud sponsor of the show. They're giving you guys a 150% deposit bonus on your first deposit and 125% on your second and third deposits. If we take a look at BetUS, the Jaguars at 0-4 are actually 3-point favorites against the Indianapolis Colts this upcoming Sunday. A lot of question marks on the injury sheet, honestly, on both ends. Like, Josh Hines Allen on our side is a guy that is questionable right now. He's in concussion protocol. We have some, more guys like will we finally be getting Evan Ingram and Darnell Savage back? Just a lot of question marks on the Jaguars. No, on the opposite end, they have a whole rap sheet. I mean, I think Kenny Moore, their cornerback, is questionable at this point. Who's going to be playing quarterback? Will it be Anthony Richardson or will it be Joe Flacco? I know for me personally, the Jaguars defense hadn't got a turnover this whole season, so I'm kind of hoping that Anthony Richardson plays because, I mean, he's been gifting them like Christmas gifts out here. So that's something that I would definitely be hoping for. But I don't know. With this one, Jags 3-point favorites. The over-under is 46.5. I know we always like to kind of give our take, so I'll let Jason go first. Look, this isn't counting against our overall records. I'll wait till Jordan comes back and we can bring back the records. But I guess when you look at this one, what are your overall thoughts about this one?
Man, it's hard for me to say that the Jags are going to cover when the Jags are going to win outright when they haven't, but they have covered a few times. So I will take them to cover 100%. I like the under here, and I've been an over guy all year, but I got burnt last week on the over, so I'm going to take the under this week. I don't see the Colts scoring a lot of points on us. I don't see us scoring a lot of points, so I think the under is a safe bet there. It's that 3-point line. It's the Jags winning or losing that has me a little coin flipped right now. Gun to my head, I think I'm going to take the Jags to win outright. So I'm taking Jags covering, Jags winning outright, and the under.
Yeah, so I know for me personally, I mean, honestly, if the Jaguars were playing any other opponent, I would probably pick the Jaguars to lose until the Jaguars win. But playing the Colts in Jacksonville, of course, the Colts haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014. They haven't been able to beat Blake Bortles, Cody Kessler, Gardner Minshew, and now Trevor Lawrence, obviously a bunch of different quarterbacks. It's a house of horrors for them over here. No matter how good they are, no matter how bad the Jaguars are, the Jaguars just find a way to win. So, yeah, I've got the Jaguars winning this one in kind of a homecoming game. Of course, throwback uniforms. Tom Coughlin is going to be inducted into the Pride of the Jaguars at halftime. So I'll take the Jaguars to win. And I'll also take the Jaguars to cover. Why not? And also the over-unders at 46.5. I don't know. It's a big number. It's a lot of points. And we're a team that we struggle to score points. Sometimes we struggle to get to 20. I don't know who's going to play quarterback for the Colts. Either way, like their offense have struggled at some point. So I guess with me, I'll go the under 2. Just because, man, I just not sure if any of these offenses really have things going well for them. So, yeah, I guess me and Jason are both kind of in agreement on our how we feel about this one, and we'll just have to see. So, yeah, shout out to BetUS for sponsoring. Like I said, they are the sponsor for this channel. They're a big reason why we're actually able to get this thing going. So, like we were saying earlier, 150% sign up bonus. If you go to betus.com, use promo code YouTube150. So,
what do you think the over-under was on this show having a Cody Kessler reference? What do you think the over-under on that was?
Jeez, I don't know.
That would have been like a plus 5,000 for a Cody Kessler reference. So, man, I hope y'all bet that. That's for sure.
Well, so I do want to talk about the Jaguars are throwback uniforms, man. The social media team unveiled it today. They're at practice. They have the old helmets on right now, which is really cool to see the old logo. And you see this jersey I have on right here? You see this?
Beautiful.
This is a free jersey. You know that?
Did you also get a concussion while wearing that jersey?
I did not, but
okay.
I might have got a concussion after watching the Jaguars every Sunday. But Josh Allen had the new jersey exchange, right? And I think he gave like 50 or so jerseys away to out-of-towners. I emailed them. I sent the selfie of me wearing my Josh Allen jersey, and boom, I got this jersey sent to me. I know. Look at me. So wow. I got the Heinz Allen on the back. The tag still came from Fanatics. I mean, this is a $150 jersey. So boom. Glad something is going well for me, right? And hopefully I mean, hopefully he plays on Sunday because that would kind of suck if he doesn't.
You
but-
don't see people with concussions playing very often, but I am glad that after getting the massive contract that he did, he's able to give out some free jerseys. That's good to see.
He's able to afford $150
He's able
to a young man like me, man. But yeah, I think it was limited. I know he had the cool autograph signing in person, which, you know, shout out. I don't know if any of you guys went to that, but that'd be pretty cool. I got a selfie with him one time when he was actually in Denver. Actually, you were at that game too. That was a fun one to go to.
What are the chances we were both in Denver? What are the chances?
Yeah, no, I think that wasn't the last away game I went to. I went to in 2021 with Urban Meyer. I went to Houston and I went to Seattle. Oh God, 2 terrible games. Got blown out of both of them. But
that
haven't been to
Broncos
away
game.
since.
That Broncos game, my Uber driver was like, "Oh, y'all are from Jacksonville?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Just a heads up, like, don't drink in the first quarter because this altitude's gonna screw you." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yes." And I was like, "All right." Get up there, we get to our seats. I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, my head was like spinning a little bit. I was like, this guy wasn't lying, dude. I mean, our seats were at the top, but I was like,
Yeah, we were definitely at the top. I don't remember that. I don't know if I drank before. Sometimes I go to these stadiums and it's like $18 for a beer. Nah, I'm good. But
I mean, win in Rome.
Yeah, win in Rome. Yeah, I should have indulged a little bit more. But you know, I think I was more into the greenery there.
The cannabis.
I'll say that.
I was gonna say the entire city smells like weed. The entire city. You walk around and it's like we walked outside of our hotel room. We were like, oh wow, okay, this is the stench of the city. That's for sure,
dude. So I went there, right? And like the first place he went to was like a dispensary. So I was like, oh, like I went to buy whatever, buy gummies, buy whatever. And then like so. My first mission after there was to go buy a snowboard because I like to snowboard when I go. I haven't gone in a while, but you know, and that was back when I was like single, and you know, every year me and my buddies, like 6 to 8 of us, would go out there, you know, go to the mountains and do it. But now we're all wiped up, and it's a little bit, you know, hard to do that now. But I went there and I took a gummy before going. And the process to buy a snowboard is very long. Like you pick out the snowboard, you pick out the boots and the bindings, and dude. By the end of it, I was toast, bro, because man, that stuff was catching up with me, and I was just like, I was on my ass at the end of it. And I told the lady, I was like, yeah, by the way, I took one of these edibles beforehand. And she was like, oh yeah, I could tell. I'm like, oh, okay. And she goes,
I can tell.
Yeah, and she goes, do you want a beer? I'm like, yeah, sure. And I was just like, dude, I was ready to get the hell out of there.
Someone was like, hey, how was Denver? And I was like, it was cool. I was like, you know how Jacksonville has a lot of homeless people? They're like, yeah. I was like, well, imagine homeless people, but like instead of being like drunk and crazy, they're just like stoned asking you for weed. Everywhere we went, there was homeless people like, hey, you got any weed? I was like, no, but you don't seem crazy, so I don't know what to do.
Yeah, dude, it's definitely
and one more thing. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but like one of my best memories was like we're at the stadium and like we Ubered to the stadium from our hotel, and like we couldn't get an Uber out for some reason, whatever reason. So yeah, we'll just walk back to our hotel, and it was like 2 miles. Like we walked through the entire city. And it was like, you could never do that in Jacksonville. You could never walk like through downtown Jacksonville and like back to your hotel. It was like, wow, this is actually, besides the homeless people, it was like, this is pretty cool. Like they have a lot of architecture. It was like fairly clean. And I was like, oh, like it was a cool experience for sure.
No, yeah. And then I remember like when we went to even like when I went to the Seattle game, it was just so cool, like public transport. You're able to take trains everywhere, and like, you know, it's just so easy to get around these other places. But in Jacksonville and stuff like that, I mean, for example, like for me, like usually when I go there, I don't tailgate too much. I usually show up about a couple hours before the game and walk. So I'll park on like Monroe Street. And when I walk, I'm literally walking by the jail. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's just such a different like vibe. But yeah.
And Jacksonville's so big, dude. Like walking from the stadium in Denver to our hotel, we like walked through the entire city of Denver, and we did it in like, 45 minutes. Jacksonville is so massive.
Yeah.
I was like on like the west side of Jacksonville the other day, and I was an hour and 20 minutes from my house, which is also in Jacksonville. I was like, by car. I was like, this, it's just like, it's completely different.
Dude, yeah. And I know, for example, in Orlando, like they're really pumping that they built this new Sunrail that takes you from like Orlando to Miami. And it sounds like really cool and all, but like, dude, like tickets on that thing are like $110. And then like it just like drops you off in Miami. And then from there you got to get like an Uber to wherever you want to go. It's just like, man, like I know there's places like I land in Seattle and I immediately, and even like when I went to Toronto, everywhere, it's like, you get dropped off at the airport and you can take a train wherever you want to go, but it's just not the same anymore in Florida. We just have terrible public transport, that's for sure.
Yeah, they tried to pass a monorail from like Orlando to Jacksonville like 10 years ago, and it got like shot down by the government. But I always wondered what that would have been like if there was like a monorail train from Jacksonville to Orlando, and like how much more often I'd be down there to see you if they had that.
Dude, it'd be nice, man. I mean, I know we have like one train that kind of goes through Orlando, but it's like it just doesn't take you like. Why do we have a train system that doesn't take you to like Universal or doesn't take you to Disney or doesn't take you to the airport? Like I live like 5 minutes away from a train spot, but it doesn't take you anywhere. Like it just kind of drops you off. Like, it'd be like dropping you off at like 295 and 17 at the dog track in Orange Park. It's like, okay, well, where do I go from here? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I mean, I don't even know. Is the dog track still around, or is it?
That one is not a dog track anymore. I think they banned all the dogs, but it is a poker room. So.
Gotcha. I mean, I grew up in Fleming Island, so
it's a nice area. It's a very nice area.
When I lived back there, it was I haven't lived it since 2012, but it was definitely the dog track, I think, back then. But that's how it is. Like it just drops you off in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, all right, I guess I overpay for an Uber wherever the hell I go from here.
I actually dated a girl that lived on that road that was the dog track was on. Like it was like a neighborhood. Like if you're heading toward the dog track, it's like a neighborhood to the right.
That's like a long distance relationship for you.
It was. It was. I mean, it was like 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's a long hike, man. Gotta get over.
Hey, you know what? There's
when I know
there's power in the P, if you know what I mean.
There is, man. You got to think with your head and not the head. But all right, guys, it's been a great episode of Club. We're going off the rails.
Is that a good place to end?
We're going off the rails, guys. We're 0-4. We're 0-4. So this was not the plan when I started Club Jaguar. Okay, this is supposed to be a party. Okay, it's supposed to be the place for everyone to be. But we're just, I mean, you gotta laugh to keep from crying right now. But
yeah, that's true.
Hopefully the Jaguars get things going in the right direction. Man, it'd be nice to win. It really would be nice to win. But yeah, the Jaguars have a lot at stake. I mean, the win streak against the Colts at home. They got obviously the throwback uniforms, which will be really, really cool to see. Tom Coughlin getting inducted at halftime, and hopefully we can get in the win column, and then got a couple of easy games in front. I mean, easier opponents, I should say. So there's a very real chance the Jaguars can be 3-4 in a few weeks. Then got a tough slate ahead, but there's 13 games left, so we'll just have to see what happens. But yeah.
I mean, listen, I just want to encourage everybody, right? I just want to take a second to encourage everybody. Listen, we're not looking good right now, but things change so quickly in the NFL. I mean, look at teams all across the league that were terrible last year and that are good this year, and vice versa. Things change so quickly in the NFL. We have a team that we love. They're going to be here for a long time. We have a lot of good things going for us, okay? So if things don't go well this season, don't give up. You keep coming back here. We're going to keep talking. What else are you going to do? Not watch football and not talk Jags? No one here who's here by week 4 has the capacity to just give up on football and the Jaguars. So keep your hopes up. Come back. We'll talk Jags every Wednesday. Change your perspective. We'll be fine. If it's not this season, it'll be next season. That's all.
Here's another way to look at it. Let's do a power ranking, okay? Success in their own areas, okay? Let's power rank the Jaguars versus the Knowles versus the Gators, okay? I would see the Jaguars number 1.
I mean,
Jaguars 1, probably Gators 2, Florida State 3.
The Gators, I mean, I'm a Gator fan, but Gators and Knowles aren't that far apart. So that game is going to be atrocious, and I think either team could win, to be honest. But You line up the Gators or the Noles against the Jaguars, Jaguars win. I can guarantee you that right now.
Well, I mean, yeah.
No, I know.
I know that. I'm saying success in their own, like.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's we're finding stuff here.
Still
Hopefully,
UCF.
hopefully everyone's this weekend.
UCF getting blown out by Colorado.
Hey, we did. Hey, Prime, Coach Prime, and that they came to play, dude. They came to play. They stopped our run game. But hey, I'll be in Gainesville this weekend. Florida versus UCF. We got a party bus going over there.
Oh, nice.
You can drink on the bus too. Oh, it's gonna be lit, guys. Okay.
You don't want to just stop by on Sunday in Jacksonville and just make it a weekend?
No. Oh man, yeah, we got a bus from Orlando and back. It'll be a lot of fun. I don't know if any of you guys are going to that one, but man, I grew up a Gator fan, so it's gonna be really, really cool. Like being in that stadium, wearing UCF gear, it'll be way different. And I'm hoping that by the third and fourth corner, we're doing UCF chants and
charge on. What do y'all say? Night on. Charge on.
UCF, charge on, baby.
Charge on, yeah.
But yeah, we're in the Big 12. It sucks that we lost. I mean, we had whatever.
Big 12?
Hopefully, yeah, we're in the Big 12, man.
Oh, that's fancy.
It is fancy. Yeah, I mean, when I first got to UCF in 2012, we were in Conference USA. Okay. Now we're in the Big 12. We're actually playing. We're hosting Coach Prime and the Heisman winner in our stadium. Probably, I think Jordan Travis will probably win it.
Jordan Travis.
What's his name?
Not Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis.
Travis Hunter. Hunter. Who's Jordan Travis?
Jordan Travis is the former FSU quarterback.
Oh God. Okay,
Yeah.
no. Travis Hunter. Yeah. And yeah.
Hey,
hopefully
listen,
some good things to come.
I think Billy Napier's a terrible coach. I thought that from game one when they beat Utah. And so I would love nothing more than for UCF to beat the Gators because I think that Billy Napier is terrible and awful. And not only is he a bad head coach CEO, he's also a bad offensive coordinator. Like, at least be good at one of them. And he's not good at either. So
at least he's got a lot of excitement, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's high energy in his press conferences. He makes me want to run through a wall.
That line did move. So as a gambler, you guys know I'm a gambler. So like that line moved like significantly since it got put out and like toward UCF. So
what does that mean?
People are like thinking that maybe there's like going to be some like big announcement of like guys not playing for Florida. Like, because this is the week that you have to sit out to keep your eligibility for another year.
Yeah.
But like the line literally moved like 6 points. You never see a line move that much ever, ever, ever. So something weird's happening. I don't know what it is, but we're keeping an eye on it for sure.
Because I know on Bet US right now, it's 2.5 point favorites UCF is, which is
so the line started 3-point favorite Florida.
Oh, is that right?
So it moved 6
so it
points.
Is moving. It's just crazy. When this game first got scheduled, I would have never thought a night game in the swamp UCF would be favorites.
Right, and literally last week it was Florida 3-point favorites at home. So you give Florida 3 points for being at home. It's been a lot of movement.
Putting money on UCF.
I think it's a good bet right there. I think it's a great bet.
$25 on it. Okay. Maybe I should have put a Big 12. Okay, but no, we're putting 25.
You should have done the money lines. What you should have done.
I should have done money line. I'll go back later and put $50
Okay.
on that. But yeah, all right, guys. This has been Club Jaguar. Like I said, all shows are brought to you and powered by BetUS. And yeah, we got Jason in the building. Jason got his YouTube channel plugged down below. Jason, tell the chat what you got coming up.
I mean, we do shows Tuesdays and Fridays, and it's pretty much just me reading comments. I also break down film, but I get a little carried away and sidetracked. Like, as of this year, I used to be a good YouTuber, quote unquote. As of this year, I just decided that I'm just going to give up. And so now I just basically talk and I let all the fans in the comments direct the show. So if you like being a part of the show, we hit every comment and we just kind of go off the rails similarly to how this show went. So
yeah, definitely at the end. So it was good stuff. So yeah, check out Jason. His links are down below. Jordan DeLuga will be back next week, and he can hold us down.
We think he'll be back. He may just live in Alaska full time. He may just do that.
Yeah, Jordan will hold us accountable, okay? If we go off the rails with Jordan will be out of here, okay? Then we'll lose Jordan. Jordan will drop Club Jaguar. We had to go out here and I mean, hell, Sea Breacher might have to come in for him, okay? Nobody will want to come in on the show after
You don't
Jordan
want
leaves,
that.
okay?
You do not want that. I'm telling you right now, you don't want that.
But yeah, guys, if you guys do us a favor, guys, please drop a like on your way out. Also, guys, tell everybody about the show, okay? There's currently I think we peaked at 200 people. So if 400 people aren't here next show, you guys are to blame, okay? Because that would mean that you guys are not telling at least one of your best friends, okay? You could double this up.
Word of mouth is actually way better than anything else you guys could do. Like liking the video, but telling someone about it, that's the best thing you could do.
Yeah, so at the water cooler at work, if you guys talk Jaguars, be like, well, on Club Jaguar last night. What's Club Jaguar? Oh, you haven't heard of Club Jaguar? It's only the greatest Jaguar show every Wednesday night at 8:30. Okay.
They talked about weed in Denver for a solid 10 minutes. You'll love it.
They did. Yeah. It's a great distraction because the Jaguars are so great to talk about right now. But all right, guys, we're going to head out of here. Hope you guys have a good rest of your night. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll catch you guys later. Go Jags.
Go Jags.